party. His single let out, Quavo, featuring Quavo, was out Friday. He has another single out, The Bambi, that was out on the 9th. But please, oh, the major coco is the album, The Chief. That comes out on the 17th of February. Please go get that album because it's Africa to the world, people. Igwe Jidenna, what's good?
Sheila, it's a pleasure, yo. Thank you so much, first of all, for having this show. I was in London talking with everybody in the uni circuit, and we were talking about how, I was saying, in the States, it just hasn't quite crossed all the way, in the way that you saw that dancehall craze in the 90s, early 2000s. So to have an actual station, to have Afrozons is like, kudos to y'all, it makes me very proud, and I knew that as soon as that happened that I wanted to be part of this.
Thank you so much, we're so proud of you. So let's get into it. The single, Let Out, it came out last Friday, February the 3rd, like I said. Fans want to know two things, okay? The first one is, do you like to party? And the second one is, please, which party did you go out that was so let out that you geniusly had to write these lyrics? Tell us, please. Come on, baby, tell us.
I mean, I started with a party song, classic, man, so of course I like to party.
Cool.
Growing up, you never had enough money for the club. At least I didn't. So you would plan to be late. So we'd be like, yeah, I'm gonna go to the let out, we don't even gotta go to the actual club. So meet me there like 2:39 a.m. and then we pull up in literally an old Honda Civic or like an Acura Legend or Acura Integra. And we just, what we called it in the 90s was parking lot pimping, but it was the let out of an event. So I did a whole song themed on that. And in fact, when I go home, like, to different, I have family in Detroit, Boston, and Chicago as well. And sometimes after the family gathering, during the holiday season, I'll be with my cousins, some of my shady cousins too. And I hop in the car and then, try to dress down a little bit and then relive that kind of let out lifestyle.
Awesome.
So that was an ode to that kind of lifestyle. And to have Quavo on it was great.
Yes.
We did a couple records in 8 hours and had an amazing session.
Wow.
And the let out was the first one that we did together.
Beautiful, beautiful. The Chief, that's a solid title. And that debuts on the 17th of February, people. Again, go get that album. That's what I'm going to be saying all week, because that's Afrozons. It's Africa to the world, where Afrobeat meets hip-hop on the streets. So this week is all about Jidenna, nothing else. As an African woman, as you can see.
I can see.
Okay.
I can see.
You can't just be saying chief and wearing hats, and so you have to explain to us why the title, The Chief, and why the hats and everything. Tell us, because we want to know. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my father was a chief, my grandfather was a chief, but, in Igbo culture, it's not, in some other cultures, it's something that is in the blood, but we have to earn it. We have to re-earn it every time, which is what I love. Like, it's a merit-based thing.
Very true.
Sometimes it's a money-based thing.
It's always a money.
But for me, it's something that I wanted to earn. But because even though I was raised in Enugu, when I came to the U.S., I saw, in different cities that I lived, different hoods I lived, there were these men that were referred to as OGs.
Yes.
And as a kid, because I had seen my uncles and seen these men in these hats, conducting their business in a certain style, they were street politicians, neighborhood politicians, but also like party men. I was like, well, and they had some order and to what they did. I was like, this the OGs. That's the same thing. And the OGs, like when I was in LA, they'd wear their fitted caps with the LA, depending on where they was from, it'd be blue, red, purple, whatever they were repping. So it all reminded me of Chiefs. So we wear the hats. as which they're not the actual same hats that like my father wore. We made this other hat that is based off a fedora.
Okay.
So it's a mix of a fedora and like what the West will call a fez.
A fez. Okay.
So that's why we wear the hats. But the chief really is it's a story of me grappling with the passing of my father.
Bless.
Which,
Bless.
he always told me this proverb, but I never believed until it happened. He said, "You're not your own man until your father dies."
Yes,
Yeah.
sir. Come on.
So I took that and kind of ran with it, and the whole album is a dedication to him, but more so a dedication to manhood. What does it mean to be that? And what does it mean as a first generation Nigerian or first generation African in this country?
Yeah.
What does it mean to find your identity when you grew up as a kid trying to really mimic sometimes the black people from this country, depending on where you live, or sometimes even shun your traditional clothes or traditional name.
Yeah.
So I believe that this album really has all the trials and tribulations of me as a man and working through me in my identity as I kind of came of age. So there's a wealth of stories they go back to Enugu all the way through love, life, and war, and love and humanity, and all the things and all the turning points in my life.
I love that. I love that. The classic man. That was 2-time platinum, correct?
That
was no joke.
Yeah, that happened.
That was no joke.
I think the day that we were shooting the video for the Let Out. The day the Let Out released. Was it became double platinum.
That was
in fact, we were so happy that we was in LA on Sunset. We jumped out the car. We were on live too. I think on live Instagram. We jumped and potty in the street, and then we got pulled over. 3 cop cars, but it was all good. I told them the truth.
Yes.
I was like, look, we just went double platinum.
Well done.
Let Out came out. And one thing I want to say about Let Out is a year before, you saw Migos in Lagos.
Yes.
A year before, I was in the same barbershop, Ramsey's in Atlanta, with one of the friends of Migos, Miles, my good homie Miles. And literally I was talking about how Nigerians and Africans would love to see Migos, Future, Young Thug, and I started singing high life songs, and then comparing it, and then Afrobeat songs, and comparing it to the melodies of trap music, and specifically these guys, and Migos specifically. And I was like, that triplet, like the flows, I was like, trust me, like that's African as it gets, and so. That conversation, he was like, okay, Miles, like, okay. And then I see them a year later, and I was just so happy that they made
thank
that.
you for that.
I mean, I won't take all the credit, but I know that conversation played a role and planted a seed. I think I'm sure they already had the seed planted before, so I'm just glad that they made that move and executed.
I am so glad. You won the Best New Artist at the BET Awards. I mean, I know many more are coming your way. I'm so sure of that. My Igwe. Very sure of that. So tell me, did you ever foresee that happening? Did you think as a kid, like, I'm just gonna, I mean, how was that experience for you winning the BETs?
I never really, I've imagined most of what I'm living now, but I didn't really think of specific awards. Like, I'm gonna win that award that Michael Jackson and all these different people on that Soul Train stage are winning, or the Grammys that these people. That wasn't part of it. That's never part, because the accolades and I'm not a trophy kid. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. It never was the thing for me. Greatness was something I always chased, but the accolades and the fame is not something that is the biggest deal. But it was an honor to win that award at Soul Train with all those. I mean, the legends that were sitting around me, sitting next to me. We'll see. I mean, we'll see what comes, but.
We were so proud. That is our own. He belongs to us. That's Africa's own. So we were so proud, and it's all love, Jidenna. We're gonna keep loving and supporting you. Let's talk about your dress sense. You have this Jim Crow style, and now it's Africa Ankara prints. It's only one Jidenna. What inspires you? I mean, you wake up one day. I mean, even your photo shoots, your music videos. How do you come up with the dress style? Because it's all part of who you are, and that's what makes you unique.
Yeah, I mean, when it goes back to my father, he He used to wear, especially in the 70s and the 80s, he used to wear these three-piece suits. And then because he actually needed a cane, he had a cane as well.
Yeah.
So I kind of just took that style when he passed in 2010, and I made a very stark shift from what I previously had worn, which was like, you know, t-shirts, had chains, my snapbacks and whatnot, which I have a little bit, and I used to have cornrows and afros, all types of things. But I wanted to make a shift, and I wanted to not just honor my father, but my mom as well. So I drew upon like both African and European aesthetics, which, you know, in Lagos and Abuja and all over Nigeria and all over Africa, you'll see in general, because we like to be tailored in many ways. If it's traditional clothes, if it's, you know, modern, it's fitted no matter what. I said, like, when I go home, like the way the tailors will measure you, you have to flex. In America, you don't flex, but there, and I was like, that's so like typical. I love it. So we kind of, me and my team, we were like, all right, let's design a style that really showcases all of this. So, and even though Ankara is not as popular, like, I know in Nigeria specifically, it's not as popular as it was, say, in the 80s and 70s. I knew what it would represent to Americans and the African diaspora. It's very clear. It's very easy. That's what, if you give people a package that's heavy, they're not gonna go far. But if you give them something that's light and easy, they're gonna. And it doesn't mean you dilute. You just make it potent.
That's correct.
So for me, Ankara, like in the ties or, you know, in the lapel, it was like right to the point. Now this year, you'll see shortly, it'll be the up and down that I'll be wearing a lot more. I'm bringing that to the U.S. So now that they got the Ankara thing, I'm making moves so that we can just keep, my goal is to bridge this diaspora.
That is it, bridge the gap.
If that's one thing that I do before I die, is to make that pipeline between the entire diaspora. The Caribbean, in Europe, in America, and of course the continent itself. That's it. So the uniforms that we wear is very important. You know, to wear a snapback with up and down is very important.
Too important.
Yeah. So those are my thoughts about style. It definitely changes the psychology and sociology of people.
I love it. I mean, we're here to celebrate you, Jidenna. You know, your single, The Let Out, came out on February 3rd. Bambi came out February the 9th. The Chief is coming out on the 17th of February. But for me, as Afrozons, and also trying to bridge this gap, I wanted people to know who you are, who is Jidenna, who is that talent, who is that genius. So I came up with this scenario after studying you for a while. You know, so I want to just picture this, just allow me land. Picture this. I read somewhere that you wanted, as a little boy, you know, you wanted to be a martyr. So my brain is like, that is like Superman. He wants to die for a cause. Okay? Me, I grew up in Surulere, very small house flats and uncles everywhere. I just wanted to make money and get out. So I want to know your heart, Jidenna, because what made you, as a little boy, want to be a martyr, and do you still feel that way?
I don't know where you read that, but it is true. When I don't want, the martyr thing is not as cool to me right now. That's not. But when I was a kid, like, I was like, yeah, that's when I was a young boy. I think I was in Boston at the time, and I watched a movie that changed my life, and it really made me understand what manhood meant. And it was X, Malcolm X. That movie, I had never seen any man quite like him. And he became my hero very quickly. My father, even though I heralded him, he was in and out of my life. You know, it's not like I have like I had the best relationship. A lot of times your father can even feel like the bully of the earth, especially African parents.
That's so true.
So it was like, you know, there was a lot of hate love there. But Malcolm was like, that's the man, right? So, and Malcolm had that martyr thing to him. And a lot of the people that I was admiring, the Marleys, the fella, they all had this like martyr instinct. So yeah, very early on, that's what and also I think the hood mentality that was in me, even though I was in, you know, great schools, it still was in me. And so I was thinking I was gonna die like before 25, like I believed it. you know? So even at a prep school, it was still in me. Nobody's immune to the environment. So that, once I reached like 21, I was like, oh, I'm not dead. I'm still alive. I was like, let me start reshaping how I think. And now I definitely want to live long. I definitely would love to see the changes that we do and the changes that we're part of. I think we want to see it, selfishly, we want to see it in our lifetime.
Yes.
So yeah, I would love to live long.
Black
I
Lives
wouldn't say
Matter.
that,
You guys were dope, yourself and Jidenna Monet.
Yeah.
I mean, I respect that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for actually standing for something and, believing in something and making a move. So it just says a lot about you.
Man.
That's why we're going to go buy your album.
Hey.
We have to. But I want to introduce another sister. I want you to know who she is because Power 92, we're all behind you.
Yes.
We're all going to support you. She's our sister.
Yes.
She's Egyptian. She is Radio Mayha. Okay, one of our own.
This is a nice
Okay,
intro. I like
great
this.
intro. So I said to Mayha has a show here, Power 92, every day from 10 to 3. My girl Mayha. So I said, Mayha, come meet my brother Jidenna, our brother.
She did.
Jidenna, our.
She did, and I'm so happy to meet
Yes.
you.
Yes,
So
it's a
happy to meet
pleasure.
you.
Yes.
Plastic Man blew up here in Chicago. We all
Yes,
love
it
it.
did.
Okay, so she's allowing me one question, Debbie.
Yes, one question.
So, okay, this is something I dealt with too in the industry where people kind of want to put you in a box. You being Jidenna from, you've got such interesting roots and a different background. How do you deal with the industry? And have they ever tried to mold you into something? Have they ever tried to put you in this box? How do you get around that?
I mean, it starts with the knowledge of who you are. I could have signed when I was 18, but then it wasn't until, almost a decade after. If I signed when I was 18, I probably would answer this question very differently. Because I didn't know exactly who I was. I'm still figuring. I guess we all are.
Right.
It's a constant journey. But if you know enough and you know your core values, there's nobody that can shake you from that. Definitely there's pressures, of course.
Absolutely.
They're trying to, early on, I was referred to as like a R&B singer.
Okay.
And I don't even actually, I don't know how to sing like that actually. I don't study, I don't listen to R&B every day, like that's not, my roots are actually, as a child, is in, honestly, like Afrobeats, the original, high life music, reggae, Michael Jackson, pop music. That's what I heard. And then holiday music like Nat King Cole.
Okay.
That's like what I was around. But what I did was rap.
Okay.
You were in Lagos September last year.
Yeah.
Because if I don't ask that question, I don't know what's going to happen to my Instagram and to my everything.
Yes, they want to
People
know.
are going to be like, are you serious, Sheila? You were in Lagos in September last year. How was that experience? Because it's still buzzing. So you tell me from your perspective, how was that for you?
I mean, it was so great that we used some of the footage as the campaign to begin the rollout of the Chief. We're the first, I was the first US-based artist to begin a promotional tour in Africa.
Awesome.
This first one.
Awesome.
So I had to use that footage to roll out the album, even now that we're moving to the States.
Awesome.
It was amazing, Everybody, the pride, It feels, man, I can't even describe it, but it feels like it's a magic, man. When somebody else, some stranger, sees you, and your success is their success.
Be proud.
It's for real.
Bum
When
rushed
I was
you,
in
they proud.
I was in Balogun Market on Broad Street.
Yep.
And like if I lift up my hand, they lift up. But the way, especially in my hometown in Enugu, like the way the people were looking is just like, man, we're winning.
Yeah.
That's what I want. I devote my life for this cause. I devote my life. I put my life on my line. My friends that work with me, they put their lives on the line.
Right.
It's not easy, and it's not like there's so many things that I can't even say right now that we've gone through. But it's it's something that I know that I'm dedicated to. So when people feel it all the way, that's what it felt like to be in Lagos and Enugu. Like it just felt great. They treated me like you said, like royalty. and I don't, you know, I don't feel
Igwe. For those of you that don't know what Igwe means king. Igwe is a chief, a king, someone with a title that it's actually given to you. Wow. So Jidenna didn't have to give it to himself. We gave it to him. Yeah. One last question before I let you. I could keep you upon it today. One last question. A word of wisdom, what would you say to someone who's aspiring, you know, all the time, but there's a kid out there who's listening, who wants to be like you, you know, who wants to make it? Word of wisdom, what would you say? Give a piece of you to the Afrozons Barnage to listeners right now.
Yeah, I say that music is a service. I think a lot of artists think it's just about themselves, like it's just me and whatever I feel in the moment. And maybe that's true. Maybe that's true for those artists. For me, it's a service, like a firefighter, a plumber, or you know, a sanitation worker. Every day or every Monday or Friday they come to pick up your trash. For me, I'm not just thinking about myself. I'm thinking about communicating an emotion first and a message second to a group of people. And you know, it's like even if it's a party record, like the Let Out, I'm communicating to the people that grew up like me, like from middle class, working class, like wherever they know what the Let Out was. Even if you grew up, you know, well off, you might have pulled up in like 300. You might pull up flexing real quick in a nice car. Like whatever it is, you know that moment. Yeah. And so I'm communicating to a lot of people because it's a cultural record. So to a young artist, that's one of the things is to remember that you're providing a service to people. So know that how you communicate is essential. What that means in a song is that, like a chorus, your hook is very important, of course. But it's. I was talking to Tiwa about this. I've talked to Wiz about this. I talked to Burnout Boy. We did the show together in Lagos. I brought him out to Lagos at Hard Rock Cafe, and what I told him is like, yo, as we're crossing over into especially into America, they kept asking me like, how do we do it? I said, look, you can do all the features and everything, but what's gonna count is when your hooks are in English.
That's right.
You know why? Because you're communicating to a bunch of predominantly English speakers.
So true. Yeah.
So it doesn't dilute your message, it makes it more potent.
Yes.
So that's one thing for a young artist. I know everybody says, stick to it, be yourself, but know that there's also science to this. It's not just all magic. And a lot of the science is not about like making it more pop, it's about communicating because you care about people.
That's true.
That's how I go at it. I care about more people, so I try to make it communicate in a way that more people like it and feel it in their hips and feel it in their body and feel it in their spirit, feel it in their mind all at the same time. I remember Bob Marley said this. He said, "As I try to make my music so simple that a baby can understand it."
That's so true.
And if you look at the president, current president of this country, he made everything so simple that a child knows what it means when he says, you know, oh, they're very, very terrific. They're very nice people. He's very nice people. He'll talk about a policy like, oh yeah, it's a very good
simple
policy.
Words.
Very simple words. And you know, that I think that is very important in these times. But the last thing I'll say to the young artists is that, just as I said earlier, really delve into who you are, what makes your story unique. If you think that you don't have a unique story, then you don't know yourself yet.
Jidenna, what's your social? I know they're going to find you, but I want you to tell them yourself.
Yeah, no.
Follow him, tell them.
No, it's @Jidenna. They'll find me on Instagram and Twitter, please. And follow @AFROZONS, because it's history going on right now.
That's right.
And I'd love to be part of history. That's why I'm here today. I'm so proud of you guys at Afrozons, yo. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sheila.
Yeah! I love you.
Thank you so much.